Imagine waking up on a July morning and finding your fields buried beneath fresh snow. It sounds impossible, yet in the summer of 1816, this became reality across New England. Lakes froze, birds fell silent, crops died where they stood. Thousands of miles away, Europe wasn't any better. Endless rain flooded villages. Harvests failed, bread disappeared, hunger spread like a plague. Nobody understood what was happening. Priests preached about divine punishment. Scientists argued. Ordinary people wondered if the end of the world had arrived. But the true cause wasn't in America or Europe. It was hiding nearly 10,000 miles away on a remote Indonesian island. A year earlier, a single mountain had exploded with such unimaginable violence that it quietly changed Earth's climate and erased an entire summer. April 1815. Sumbawa Island, Indonesia. Mount Tambora had been rumbling for months. Then, on April 10th, it unleashed one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in recorded history. The blast was so violent that people more than 2,000 kilometers away thought they were hearing distant cannon fire. Entire villages vanished beneath scorching pyroclastic flows, while towering columns of ash rose more than 40 kilometers into the sky. The eruption killed tens of thousands of people directly, but Tambora's deadliest weapon wasn't lava. It was invisible. Millions of tons of sulfur dioxide shot high into the stratosphere, far above ordinary weather. There, the gas transformed into tiny sulfate aerosols that wrapped around the planet like a thin veil. Instead of warming the Earth, sunlight was reflected back into space. Temperatures didn't crash overnight. They fell gradually, quietly, almost unnoticed, until the following year, when summer simply never arrived. By June 1816, frost struck fields that should have been overflowing with life. Then it happened again in July, and again in August. Fields that had promised survival instead became fields of failure. Corn blackened, wheat collapsed, potatoes rotted beneath soaked ground. Across Europe, harvest after harvest failed. Bread prices climbed beyond what ordinary families could afford. Hunger spread rapidly, turning desperation into unrest. Bread riots erupted in cities across Britain, France, Germany, and Switzerland. Crowds stormed markets demanding food that simply wasn't there. Livestock starved, families abandoned their homes. Disease spread through weakened communities already pushed to the edge. To many people, this wasn't just unusual weather, it felt biblical. Day after day, the sun remained hidden behind a strange gray haze. Summer became cold, wet, and unnaturally dark. Historians would later call it the year without a summer, but for those forced to live through it, it felt like the world itself was dying. Yet while famine spread across continents, something remarkable was unfolding inside a mansion overlooking Switzerland's Lake Geneva. A group of young writers had gathered for what was meant to be a relaxing summer holiday. Instead, relentless rain trapped them indoors for days. Among them were Lord Byron, Mary Shelley, Percy Shelley, and Dr. John Polidori. Outside, volcanic haze turned bright summer afternoons into gloomy twilight. Inside, boredom slowly transformed into imagination. Byron proposed a challenge. Each guest would write the most terrifying ghost story they could imagine. One restless night, Mary Shelley dreamed of a scientist creating life from the dead. That haunting vision became Frankenstein, one of the most influential horror novels ever written. Meanwhile, Polidori wrote The Vampire, introducing the sophisticated aristocratic vampire that would later inspire Bram Stoker's Dracula. Without Tambora's ash darkening Europe's skies, modern horror literature might never have taken the shape we know today. We often imagine history being shaped by kings, wars, and revolutions, but sometimes history is rewritten by geology. One volcano erupted on a remote island. Within months, it altered weather across continents, triggered famine, fueled unrest, inspired migration, and transformed literature forever. It was a reminder that civilization rests upon something surprisingly fragile: a stable climate. Remove just a little sunlight, lower global temperatures by only a few degrees, and entire societies begin to unravel. The year without a summer wasn't simply an unusual season. It proved that a single eruption could reshape the lives of millions and leave echoes in human history for centuries. Sometimes the greatest forces shaping civilization aren't human at all. They're waiting quietly beneath our feet.